Price and myself, Paul Koretz, are both present, and so we have a quorum. We're going to begin with public comment on multiple items. And let's see, the first speaker is Antonio Ramirez. And I believe you're signed up for general public comment and all 5 items.
Yes, thank you. Let me begin with item number 2. The Los Angeles County Victim Services Program grant award from the California Governor's Office of Emergency Service is a bogus fucking program that truly is not intended to serve, benefit, or assist the true victims. But this is to aid and abet all the criminal predators in prison felon assholes. The Democrats and the Rhino Republicans only reward criminals, use them as foot patrol soldiers and criminal gangbangers for their own bidding. Shut it down. Imprison the Governor Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti and Mike Feuer and Jackie Lacey, and really open up a true program that truly will benefit the truly needy and deserved individuals who are victims of crime. And number 3, all of the political Democrat rats, Rhino Republicans who engineer the fucking criminal poverty homeless are not entitled to a single penny or retirement financial disbursement of any kind for their criminal and illegal and immoral acts of putting and subjecting us, the people, the Angelinos, of over 75,000 in the city, in the county, as homeless individuals. How do you get away with that is my question. How do you imprison 75,000 homeless people out there and you think you're entitled to retirement funds? Hell no. You are not entitled to one damn penny for putting the Los Angelinos out on the streets like dogs. And again, and number 4, I'm not an animal lover. I like animals, but not as much as beautiful Doris Day. Boy, that woman loved animals. I like them, but I keep them away. And I surely don't like them licking my face. God bless Doris Day. May she rest in peace. But I do like pony rides. I grew up in the farms, and I love animals in the sense of keeping them at a distance and ride them when I want to, okay? And God bless America and Donald Trump.
And now you have 1 minute for public
my
comment.
public comments. Ladies and gentlemen, Los Angeles has gone down. We are in a rat-infested environment. Your personnel, individuals, many of them have gang-stalked me, followed me everywhere, night and day sticking their cell phones up my ass, everywhere. Your city and county employees. I get bothered by it, you know. I'm moving my shopping cart and my fan, blocking those goddamn cell phones up my ass. You know, it's uncomfortable. Spindler gets it, Armando gets it, I get it. Be civil. You know, this is a country of greatness, of democracy, yet you Democrats have cheapened this country. We are so low. We are close to a third world ghetto, worse than Tijuana. How shameful. I would be embarrassed to be among you. I may live on the streets, but goddamn, my street where I stay, I douse it with bleach. It's clean. It smells good. Where I stay and sleep, it's clean. I'm embarrassed because you have cheapened America. America deserves better.
Thank you.
God bless America. And Donald Trump.
Next speaker is Wayne Spindler. And I believe you also have signed up for all 5 items and public comment. You have 2 minutes on the items.
That's right. The most important one is to go to number 4, evacuating large animals. Monica Rodriguez, Nuri Martinez, Ackley Padilla, Alexis Wesson Marin, large animals that need a contingency to be removed during emergencies, especially from City Hall. Very, very large asses on those big animals, so make sure you move them out as soon as possible. Also, a friendly amendment, no sweets or chocolates for the remainder of the year for those big animals. Now you have the Force Spay LA, which is kind of like my nonprofit, which is Abort Me Janice. And it's really the same thing. This is abortions for animals. Well, we should have abortions for people within the Spay for LA. Let's just dispense with all the family planning. When you come in, you know what we want. We want abortion. When do we want it? We want it now. And we're going to do this at the Spay for LA And thank you very much, Janice Hahn and the Abort Me Janice people. Yes, we work very hard. Then we go to number 2, County Victim Services. We're all victims. Every one of us. Current Price isn't a victim. No, because he's got Del Richardson over in Inglewood funneling all those county contracts and all those city contracts like the ones he voted on a couple of years ago. But that would be illegal. But because we have Jackie Lacey, what did Jackie Lacey say last year?
I ain't gonna do shit to anybody at City Hall because Herb Wesson is blackmailing my black ass.
And I said yes. So that's why George Gascon need to win that race. Then we're going to stop the blackmail and stop the money laundering. And then the 1 minute. What is this? You are taking an animal rescue, rating it. Why? What are we supposed to do with our little animals? Little fucking tiny little dogs. Little cats. And they need a place to go. And we get animal rescues. Help me, kitty. Now, in the case of my cat, who, God rest his soul, that little son of a bitch used to do this to me. Yes, but I'm not talking about Sasha the Siamese. No, I'm talking about nice dogs and cats. Make sure you let these rescues operate. Make sure you protect them. Do it for the kitties, and do it for the dogs. But for the record, Marquise Harris' wife is a dog. Thank you.
Dan Gus, and I believe you have items 3, 4, and 5, and public comment.
I'll skip item 3. Council members, the spay-neuter program, always strongly in support of expanding services. I would only ask that you make any expanded services contingent on the pet owners also getting their animals fixed. If they're already fixed, that's great. If they're too old to be fixed, I understand. But I think any expansion of services should be absolutely contingent upon the dogs being spayed or neutered, or the cats being spayed or neutered as well. The equestrian program, it says that it's trying to increase cooperation with the equestrian community. Here's how you get them to cooperate. You tell them that there will be criminal prosecutions of anybody who doesn't make evacuation plans, who doesn't work with the city. If any animal is killed or hurt, they will be prosecuted. That's how you get them to cooperate, whatever their resistance is. And now I'll just go on to the general. It is now 6 weeks going on 7 since the city took in 17 healthy, adoptable dogs from Bark and Bitches, which has been around, I believe, as Mr. Kretz awarded it the very first storefront rescue, a well-respected rescue in the city. One of those dogs was a 10-week-old puppy who was going to be adopted that day. She lost her home. She has now spent virtually half her life in your care or your possession. One of them is an elderly Labrador, and if it's 6 or 7 weeks now, how come there's no charges? Where are the charges? These are animals who could be in homes, including mine. I volunteered to take in the elderly Labrador or a few of the small ones. There are places for them to go now. There have been places for them to go safely, not back to the store, but in our possession for the past 6 or 7 weeks, not only costing you money to feed and care for them, it's using up space that animals who you've killed in the past several weeks and are going to kill could stay. You got to fix this. There are places for them to go. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one other speaker under general public comment, Whitney Smith.
Okay, I know I only have a minute, so I'm going to go fast. All right, go. I'm here to call to your attention the rogue actions of the Department of Animal Services and decisions by GM Barnett. LAS continues to deny citizens their rights to due process as prescribed by law. I don't know why I have to quote you these sections, but at Section 10203, business permits, accusation shall be written statement of violations and charges. 10204, statement must be served on respondent. After that, permit owner has a right to hearing before the permit is revoked. Shannon Roner of Parks and Beaches never got any of that. CA Penal Code, pre and post seizure hearings regarding those 17 dogs. 597.1, seizing agency shall cause the notice to be affixed to conspicuous place where animals are situated. That did not happen. Personal service did not happen. Owner has right to ask within 10 days for a pre-seizure hearing that's to happen within 48 hours before the seizure. That did not happen. Where they have the right to challenge cost of seizure, that did not happen. Post-seizure hearing, owner has a right within 48 hours. That did not happen. Please explain to me, where is the law being enforced? Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the speakers under general public comment, so general public comment is closed. Item number 1. Corey Schmidt.
Good afternoon, John White, Office of the City Clerk. Item 1, communication from the mayor relative to the re-exemption of one community affairs advocate, Class Code 2496, for the Los Angeles Department of Transportation from civil service pursuant to Charter Session 1001B.
Good afternoon, council members. Alma Guerrero from the mayor's office. We are here presenting one re-exemption for the community affairs advocate. It is funded in the current budget, and it is also number 145 of the 150 exemptions.
So there's no real indication here of why this position couldn't be filled by civil service. So is there an active list for this position, and why couldn't it be filled through the civil service process?
Thank you, Council Member Connie Llanos, AGM, LADOT. So when this is a re-exemption, so this position was an exempted position, and then we had the employee leave, actually received a promotion in another department. Once we started, there was not a civil service list for this position at all when we started the interview process and the recruitment process for the position. In the process of doing interviews, and actually in the final stages of the interview process and into the selection period, we became aware that there was going to be a list for this position. At that point, we were already, as I mentioned, in the final stages of the interview process. We, in fact, did hire somebody from within the department who is more than happy to look into the civil service exam and to go through the civil service process when that becomes available again. But at this point, we'd have to wait. It's actually unclear when the list for that position would reopen again, and we have had this position vacant for almost a year now.
So why couldn't you do it as an emergency appointment and then go through the civil service process?
So Howard Wada, Personnel Department. So what Ms. Llanos is saying, we through the selection process, that's what we worked with personnel. So it is an emergency appointment. The employee that came on board is through the emergency appointment process.
But they are not on the list because by the time that list had been opened up, this individual was not aware of it because they had been applying for the position under the assumption that this was only available as an exemption.
And you said there is now a list?
It's in the testing process right now.
Okay.
What does that mean, it's in process?
The bulletin had opened toward the end of last year, so it's going through the process. I don't believe a list has been established as of yet.
So why was this position exempted originally?
So the role of community affairs advocate, as it's described, is actually pretty broad. But the way that it was employed by the department, and this predates my arrival to the department, was largely as a representative for the department when it came to government affairs work, being a liaison to the city council, being a liaison to any state or federal officials who might have questions about how we're doing our work, or as we're going through the legislative advocacy process, being able to engage and inform on behalf of the city of Los Angeles. Very specialized skills that unfortunately we did not have within the civil service system at the time. I think that my understanding, not to speak for other departments, is that there are more departments that became interested in having positions like these to help them better serve the constituents in Los Angeles and better engage with council offices, again, in the spirit of providing better service. So I think that's what's led to actually the creation of an actual civil classification now that will be available through our civil service process, and that's something we're very excited about. It wasn't available when the job originally became exempt. It wasn't available when we started the hiring process for this position, which is why we went the emergency appointment route.
So once the exam is available and people would test for this position even if it's not vacant?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How would it work now that the test would be becoming available?
So-
How would that impact this position?
Sure. Well, at this point, so if we get the exemption, the person will be through the exempt status. But again, typically a eligible list is good for 2 years. So when that list expires, a new exam will be given. So at that point, then the candidate or the employee will go through the testing process.
Okay. Mr. Price, any other questions? All right, well, I will ask us to approve the mayor's recommendation without, oh, wait. Actually, I think we have a speaker. Corey Schmidt on this item number 1. Yes? No? Okay, not here. So I'll ask that we approve the mayor's recommendation without objection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2.
Item 2, CAO and City Attorney reports relative to the fiscal year 2020 Los Angeles County Victim Services Program Grant Award from the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
Good afternoon, Samantha Jew, Office of
Good
the
afternoon.
CAO.
Hi, Derek Tennell, Victim Assistance Program Director, City Attorney's Office.
Jose Agarbida, Assistant to the Chief of Criminal, City Attorney's Office.
Okay. So how are the services, how are the contractual services funds going to be used for this program?
Contractual services, I'm sorry, repeat the question?
So the funding is for contractual services. How are they going to be used? What does this grant actually go towards?
The purpose of the grant is to address gaps in victim services across the city of Los Angeles. We have staff that are victim advocates across the different LEPD divisions that are serving the needs of those victims across the city. We're asking today for authorization to add 5 additional permanent positions using the XE grant funding.
And where are they located?
Currently, we have staff all across the city, and we have, I think at this point, 15 advocates that are part of the Victim Assistance Program. Those folks are contracted staff members, and they're located.
I'm asking about the ones that would be added. Where are those gaps?
Well, we're going to have to decide exactly where we're going to place those individuals. They're probably going to be working out of LAPD divisions, and we're going to probably divide those 5 folks up to work 10 different LAPD divisions. So we're going to split those folks in half and have them work 2 different locations.
And what's the program actually do? How's it
We
function?
provide services to crime victims across the city. We're a state grant-funded program, and we assist crime victims by providing financial services through the Victims Comp Board. So we're paying for mental health costs. We're paying for emergency relocation for victims. We're paying for bills related to medical bills or dental bills. If you were injured during the crime, you're able to get those bills paid for through our program. So we're providing an array of different services to crime victims across the city using these funds.
Okay. Mr. Price, any questions?
How long has this program been in existence? How long has the city been?
The Victim Assistance Program has been in existence for 40 years.
40?
40 years.
40 years.
Yes.
And the city's been participating since that time?
Yes.
And so how many do we normally serve in a year? How many?
Looking at our stats from last year, we have 4 different grants that make up the Victim Assistance Program. And looking at stats from 2019, we were able to assist more than 18,500 victims throughout the year.
Now, not all of them receive some kind of financial support. But
They don't. We provide different kinds of services. We may do emergency service or crisis intervention with folks. We may do resource referrals, so if there's a particular function or service that they need that we don't provide, we'll refer them to a different agency, but we do provide a lot of assistance to those victims that need that kind of help.
And so the award, $1.5 million, is about what we've been receiving the past several years?
The amount has varied over the last couple of years as it relates to the XC grant. That money, we are also administrators of 6 different victim service agencies, so we divide that money up amongst those agencies. A portion of that money goes to the city attorney's office to pay for staff to be able to work in those particular divisions to provide those services to victims as they come into the stations.
And we usually expend all the funds out, or has there been a surplus that's rolled over?
No, we spend the money out every year. We totally spend the total amount of money every year.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's a lot of people to help.
It is, yeah. It's a great program, and we've been around a long time. We want to continue to be able to do the best job we can to help as many victims as possible, and we're focused on getting that done.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much for your good work, and we'll approve the CAO's recommendations without objection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3.
Item 3, Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System Report relative to the Lacers Post-Employment Healthcare 115 Trust audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2019.
Afternoon, Todd Bowie, Assistant
Welcome.
General Manager at Lacers. Thank you. Good afternoon, Wally Uwali, Audit Manager, Lacers.
Bruce Bernal, Lacers.
And so before you, you have for the first time financial statements prepared for the 115 Trust, which is a trust fund that was established about a year ago with the city. It has several purposes, one of which, of course, is to receive the city's health contribution for retirees. But aside from that, this fund allows us to do a few things that are quite novel and very good in terms of the membership. And so what it does is it allows us to, bank excess member premiums, which means we have the ability to smooth out future premiums for retirees when there are upticks in the rates to be paid. And the other is that we also are now self-funding our dental plan through this, and that has also resulted in a good deal of savings to us. And so, as I said, this is the first time being presented. It's an agreement that we have with the city that these financial statements will be presented to the city council on an annual basis. They have been audited by an independent third-party auditor.
So does the trust have an expected rate of return?
Ultimately, so this was the first year, and so we had not received any city monies as of the time that this financial statement was prepared. But ultimately, the rate of return will be that which is realized by the greater pool, because these monies are being invested with the general pool.
So we don't have a sense of what that's likely to be.
No, I think for last year, our general pool was what, about 5.6%. So, of course, this year we'll see come June 30th what that number looks like. For the last year, this particular fund, which had a relatively small amount of money in it, mostly for the administration of the dental plan, it realized, I think, about a 2.5% or so, and that was because it was all invested in short-term interest-bearing funds. Now, at this point, though, all of the monies received by the city, July 15th, those are all in our general pool.
Okay. And how does the Lacers self-funded program compare with Delta Dental in terms of benefits?
Talk a little bit about it. It's identical. It's just a matter of billing purposes. The benefits are the same.
So, I mean, honestly, I don't think the dental benefits are that remarkable, so they'd be as mediocre for the rest of the folks, but they're essentially the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me, could you please identify yourself for the record?
My name is Bruce Bernal. I work for Lacers Health Division.
Thank you. Mr. Price, any additional questions? All right, well, we will note and file the report without objection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4.
Item 4, Department of Animal Services and Emergency Management Department reports relative to strategies to increase cooperation and partnership between the city and the equestrian community on the evacuation of horses and other large animals during emergencies.
Good afternoon, Karen Nipscher, LA Animal Services.
And good afternoon. I'm Rob Freeman, Assistant General Manager with the Emergency Management Department.
And good afternoon, committee members. Trevor Richmond, Deputy Chief Fire.
Well, thank you for being here. So I wonder if you could explain the standard operating procedure for emergency response in terms of the Department of Animal Services.
Sure, that's a broad term. If the Los Angeles Police Department or Los Angeles Fire Department or Emergency Management Department has an emergency, they call our department. We have 2 phone numbers that are working 24/7, plus myself, who's a 24/7 employee, who answers the phone. We send somebody to the command post. We have a liaison with the Los Angeles Police Department for evacuations, and we have a liaison with the fire department for any evacuations on their side. And we work closely hand in hand with them. The fire department usually keeps us about 5 miles ahead of the fire to do evacuations. We have a team in place that conducts the evacuations, and then we also supply emergency management EOC with someone at the EOC center to do any kind of purchasing of items or items that we would need, like lights from general services or anything like that. So we do have staff in place at each of these facilities and a DOC.
And what's the responsibility of animal services versus, say, rec and parks in terms of large animal sheltering?
We shelter the animals. We care for them, we feed them, and we shelter them.
So that's entirely animal services?
Yes.
And rec and parks doesn't have a role in that?
They own the property, and they have a contractor who contracts the property from them, and they have a MOA with that contracted company to allow us to use their facility during an emergency or a disaster.
And how often does the EMC meet?
The Emergency Management Committee
Yeah.
meets every month, monthly, first Wednesday of the month.
Okay, how do departments approach large animal evacuations during the incidents, and does it matter whether they've been declared emergencies or not?
I'm not sure I understand that.
Well, how do you generally approach large animal evacuations?
Just like we would small animals, our officers go door to door with Los Angeles Police Department. If people are home, they're told to evacuate their animals. If they don't have a means of evacuating their animals, we assist them with that. If our biggest push is to have everybody evacuated before we even have to ask them. And we go neighborhood, we have trainings, we do the Notify LA, we do the Red Alert, and this has all been told to our equestrian partners that if you get those alerts, that it is better that you evacuate early. I know that in 2 of the communities, they signed an MOA on their own with Vulcan Property, which is a dirt quarry, and they are going to be able to self-evacuate there and house their animals there. So we won't have to do it for them. But the people that don't have the means or that need our assistance, we're there to assist them.
How much trouble have we had during fire emergencies, especially in terms of evacuating horses and other large animals?
Have we lost any animals? No. Have we had trouble trying to get people to leave? Yes.
Have you had trouble getting the animals to leave? I remember seeing on some of the news programs difficulty in getting the animals onto equipment willingly. And
occasionally we'll have a horse that doesn't want to load, but we do have equine experts that know how to load them.
And so we've been able to dispense them there and make sure we figure it out. So we didn't lose any animals for that reason. Mr. Price, anything?
And when we evacuate the animals, we plan on keeping them an undetermined period of time, or for 30 days or 60 days, just depends. Where do they go, and how do we kind of care and manage?
We keep them at our equestrian facility, and it
Where is that?
depends. Hanson Dam, LA Equestrian Center, or Pierce College. But it all depends on the fire department and when they're going to let people back into their homes in the areas.
So it's usually a temporary, of course, it depends on the incident, but normally it's less than 30 days.
Oh, yes. I think the longest we've probably gone is maybe 10 days, if that, yeah.
And what's the largest number of animals you've had to evacuate at a time? At an incident, I'm just curious, 20, 30?
It ranges usually depending on the fire in the area. This last one, we had 382 horses.
Horses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
One of the questions, so what's the makeup of the EMC's mass care and shelter subcommittee?
All the departments that you see represented here with other support departments as well. So it's police, fire, EMD, recreation and parks, animal services, Department on Disability, the American Red Cross, LA Unified School District. We've even had meetings where county animal care and control have attended. So it's very broad-based, and it's looking at mass care from a comprehensive standpoint. The mass care program deals with people as well as animals, and the report that EMD helped to prepare and submitted to the Public Safety Committee is a recap of our respective roles and responsibilities and the specific plans and SOPs that we all follow and what some of the common areas are. The Emergency Management Department's role would primarily be to assist with notification of affected residents, including those that are animal owners or horse owners, so that you have a timely warning for mandatory or voluntary evacuation. If the Emergency Operations Center is activated, then we're coordinating that effort as part of a mass care branch within the EOC. Those same agencies are represented, so that we're looking at all of the issues that we might face in terms of alerting the public, establishing facilities, including equine evacuation and the 3 shelters that Karen mentioned. We've even had mutual aid offers from the County of Los Angeles at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds, so that if we were really stretched in terms of capacity, that the EOC through its mutual aid efforts would have additional options. So we're there to help coordinate between the agencies. So the plans give you an indication of what the pre-event rules and procedures are, and then if the EOC is activated, we actually follow through and execute those plans.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this sounds like really good coordination between all those different and varied agencies, so that's great. I know my area of focus during fires has always been to encourage people to get out early, especially if they have animals that might not be so cooperative, know where they are if they're smaller, and start the process as early as possible if they're larger, certainly. So that sounds like you are all in that mode, which is great. We have a couple speakers, perhaps from the audience. I'm not sure if they're real or fictitious. First, David Vahedi. Second, Nuri El-Shinaway. I believe that those were fictitious, and they are. So we have no speakers from the public. So I will ask that we note and file these reports without objection. And thank you for your good work on this.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Item number 5.
Item 5, CAO and Department of Animal Services reports relative to proposed 6th Amendment to contract number C125233 with Spay for LA Incorporated to expand the term and revise scope of work in connection with providing 4 mobile spay-neuter services.
Good afternoon, Catherine Chico with the Department of Animal Services. Hello, my name is Susie Rios-Bellinat. I'm with the Office of the CAO. The Department of Animal Services is seeking the Council's approval for the 6th and final contract amendment for the Spay for LA, which provides mobile spay and neuter services to our low-income areas in the city. Since the inception of this contract, the contractor has provided over 12,000 spay and neuter surgeries. The Funding for the spay and neuter surgeries comes from off-budget funds, donations, and the $7 and $2 surcharge on dog licenses.
And has the yearly amount of surgeries performed by Spay for Your Eye increased over the duration of the contract, or has it been pretty level?
It's been, for this contract, it's been pretty level, yes.
And any list of zip codes added to the ones we've begun with?
No, their contract allows them to go out through all of the city, but the clients have to be low income to receive the services. So they're not just dedicated to one certain portion of the city.
So they're not just dedicated to zip codes. They can hit lower income
Yes.
folks in other parts of the city.
Yes.
And is Animal Services preparing to go out on a new RFP as this one closes?
Today, we are going to be posting the new RFQ to create an on-call list for spay and neuter services that will cover not only the mobile vans, but our on-site clinic and other spay and neuter services that come, that the department identifies the need for. So that'll be posted by the end of today.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Price. Any additional questions? We have one speaker listed who I believe is also fictitious and not here, which is Mickey Jackson. I don't see her. So I will ask that we approve the Department of Animal Services recommendations without objection. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And do we have any other business before us?
None, sir.
In that case, we are adjourned.